What's up, Trekkies? Hi, so let's start off with console. We haven't had a lot of console news, but they've been moving the events together, so I've been kind of doubling up on that one. However, there's very specific console news right now. So, the patch notes is not too terribly much of anything that came out yesterday. Loadouts, which is stuff to configure your ship, it's in the loadout menu. The cooldown is now reduced to 5 seconds to save load times. Apparently now all experimental weapons, which are the escort weapon, are now free to upgrade to Mark 12, but they now come as Mark 10 whenever you retrieve them or get them from the reclaim store, because there were people that were getting those ships at level 40 but having a Mark 12 weapon that they can't use. So now they're Mark 10, so they can use them, but you can just like free upgrade them to 12, no problem. It's just going to take a little bit of extra work, but other than that, there's just like kind of tweaking this, kind of tweaking that stuff. There's not really much of anything. You guys are having the Mirror Invasion starting today, and this specific map is only available through this 3-week time frame. You need, if it's 3 weeks, it's 21 days. You need 14 of these marks. And what you get at the end is 50,000 dilithium ore, 500 fleet marks, 250 marks of your choice, and the brand new unique ground weapon Mirror Universe Phaser dual pistols. You will unlock the dual pistols for anybody on your account through the event store. But the other characters can still complete for the dilithium and marks and stuff. Basically, this is just the mirror event with the Vothel station. Science officers, science vessels, not necessarily science officers, I've made that mistake in the past. Science vessels can close the portal super fast. If you got enough DPS, you can kind of take out the first volley and then close it really fast before the next one spawn out of the portal. Immunities do work. So like on the Vesta, if you have your immunity shield up, you can close a portal because you won't get hit, because taking damage stops your channeling. This works for secondary shielding, again with the Vesta, whereas if you suck in all the secondary shielding, they're basically hitting your shield before it has to get through your normal shields, which have bleed through, which then do damage to your hull. It's a little tweakiness. It's the little things I've realized when I've had to basically be the person doing something during this. Escorts fly around and kill everything. Y'all are here in the process of just like, I want to blow the cap out of everything. I got so many guns. And yet when here comes the Mirror Universe, you guys are like, no, don't hit me. Don't hit me. I want to close the portals. I want to activate the stations, which you do really slow in comparison to the other two. Cruisers, activate the bases. Fly to one, activate it. Fly the next one, activate it. Don't. Technically, you only really need the one of them active for the first one. So activate one, fly to the next one, wait. When it's nearly full, start activating it so that when the second one comes in, you got that one done, hit the next one. And you should, and just sort of keep doing it. That one, kind of time it if you can. It's not really a big deal if you don't. But if it's near the end and you're at a station that's not active, don't activate it yet, because then it goes into a cooldown. If you have healing abilities, maybe throw stuff on the Vothel station. I know a Vothel station works really beneficial for that Undine green shield thing. So hopefully if the escorts are doing their job, there's not terribly too many things. The escort's going to hang around near Vothel station because it does damage. So console, you're getting flight deck cruisers. Now this is a 3-pack for all 3 factions. I understand the Orions have their other flight deck cruisers, but these are tier 6 wonderful ones. And then the Romulans get one, and now the Tellarites for Federation finally get a ship in there. So that's fun. If you're a Tellarite and you want a Tellarite ship, that's cool. So these ships are basically mirror images of each other, except for modifying for shield modifier and hull, because the other ones, I think the other ones can cloak. Can the Klingon one cloak? Can the Romulan one cloak? Better. Yes, it has a battle cloaking device. And it's a Suliban ship. So the benefit, so basically they have +5 all system subpower because they're basically cruisers. But they have a commander engineering, lieutenant commander tactical / command, lieutenant commander universal, lieutenant tactical, ensign science. 4 tactical, 5 engineering, 2 science for the Federation, Tellarite one. 3 tactical, 5 engineering, 2 science for the Orion. 3 tactical, 5 engineering, 2 science for the Suliban, a Romulan one. They come with their respective things. It's like Suliban Veil fighters, Orion Cutpurse fighters, and Tellarite Adamant fighters. They've got flight deck cruiser mastery, which we'll go over, and they only really have they have the shield aura and the taunt aura. So that's that. They have a pretty basic 1.0 modifier for shields, and their hull ain't that great. Their console, which is the IFF Manipulator, provides a passive boost to crit severity, directed energy weapons, and engineering readiness. It'll scramble the sensors. Primary target of the ability will be assigned as a primary opposing threat to all of their nearby allies, while targeting sensors become incapable of separating them from friend from foe. In addition, the primary target's damage resistance will also be reduced by an amount inversely proportionate to the number of foes confused. Debuff is stronger the fewer foes that are confused. The idea is, like, when you fly into combat in like the Voth areas and you find the bulwarks, use it on them, because then everything else will see them as an enemy and it'll start attacking them, and then your fighters can go at them. That's a good way to use it. Borg cubes, if it works on them, especially in the Borg red alerts, because then all the spheres will start attacking them and like throwing torpedoes at them. Oh, right, this one. So within 10 kilometers of you, and you are counted, as well as your fighters, if you are in the majority, so if you're out away from everything and your fighters are just around you, you have increased damage resistance, shield hardness, and hull regeneration. This also counts your team members, friendlies. And that's just, you gotta have one more than the others. So this is really good for the wandering thing in the Badlands, where you need to outdo other things. When you have more, you get more progress on it. And then when you're in the minority, you get increased damage and flight speed. Both allies and foes count all hangar pets, fleet support, and other similar summons, not mines or torpedoes. The Suliban Veil Fighters are like the little Orby things. They move. Suliban Veil Fighters are plasma weapons, energy weapons, plasma torpedoes. Orion Cutpurse Fighters, disruptors, and photon torpedoes. Tellarite Adamant Fighters, phaser, and quantum torpedoes. The Elite Fighters have a front beam array, forward torpedo, aft beam array, reflective hull 3, which is plus 50% damage resistance rating and reflects 50% of incoming energy weapon damage. Lasts until 15,000 energy damage has been reflected, 10-second cooldown after depleted. So it's good, but they gotta take damage. And hopefully they're not taking damage, but... Anyways, so that's the flight deck cruisers. It says coming soon to the C-store near you. It does not say a date. That could be today because, well, no, this was posted today. You can buy each ship for 2,500 or the full 3-pack for 5,000 Zen. As per typical. In terms of stuff on, not console, on PC. Oh, there's a flash sale. Until when? On all platforms. Oh, nice. Until 6 p.m. PST, so 8 hours from now. Grab 30% off everything in discounted pack section of the C-store on all 3 platforms. Good to go. Okay, next thing. Basically just what's going on with the anniversary event and the Omega. A lot of people are like still relatively confused about some things on this one. So, I don't know the current prices as I don't go to the exchange very often. But I'm going to give you a little bit of math here. If you want to sell fragments, look at the price of Omega fragments. That's pretty, I think I did check it and I was like, ooh, that's pretty bad. They'll go up in price as soon as the market stops getting flooded with them and it's closer to a weekend, upgrade weekend. So don't worry about that now, hold on to them. They go in your R&D tab anyways. How full is that? Look at the fragments. Now you have to remember, if you're like, oh, well, I should buy fragments. Well, also look at shards. If shards are less than 1/3 the price, which should be pretty easy, we all have phones. All you have to do is times 0.33. You don't even have to do much. Like if a fragment, and plus you can kind of do it in your head. If a fragment costs 300,000 EC and shards are going less than 100,000, buy 3 shards and well, you got to spend 20 hours, but you'd saved money, especially in the long run, especially if you can find other ones. And that goes for slivers too. If they are 1/3 the price of shards, you know, worry about those. It's easy to craft this stuff because it works in and of itself. You don't have to worry about depleting other mats. And then the same thing goes for the colored ones. Although you're starting to work here, you know, you got to use one of each of those. So it gets weird. with the pricing. However, like I said, don't worry about making money now unless you have like butt tons, but there are people out there just farming stuff up. Second, I know people are like, oh, I want to go to... You don't need 2,700. It's cool. It's nice. But about 2,400, 2,300, I think, is about where you cap out. And you get like a sliver and 3 color. Because your shard and fragment are basically RNG to begin with. Like, I got... Because of the sheer lag one time, I opened it up and they went... And it closed down. I got 0 points. I got 1 yellow and a fragment. I was like... Because they're so RNG on whether or not you actually get shards and fragments that you can't really build up to them. So that's how that works. I know people are like, I gotta get 2,700 every time. Don't stress yourself out. In terms of that one, if you want to try to get as many as you can, because obviously people are wondering where the locations are. There are places online that show you where the locations are, and like Red Omega in space, in case you don't want to beam down and look at your ugly character, Chronos System, Sol System, Bajor System, Deep Space Nine Space, so around the station, Blue, Ruapente, Gondala, Vulcan, Wolf 359, New Romulus, and Andoria. Yellow, Sherman System, Drozana System, which Sherman System is Deep Space K7, and Starbase 39 Sierra. Ground zones, if you're okay with looking at your ugly character, you got Kronos, Kronos Academy, Earth Space Dock, Starfleet Academy, Romulan Flotilla, Defera, not the invasion zone, the one where it's all square and you got people walking around the edges and all that stuff. Deep Space Nine in the station on the promenade, Bajor Ground, and then Asteroid Mining Ground. That's Vlugta, not your fleet one. This is the tiny little area. We'll get back to that one in a second. Blue Omega Ground, Gondala, Vulcan, Andoria, New Romulus Command. And then Yellow Omega, K7, Drozana, Starbase 39. My places I go, people are like, oh, you need Red Omega? Go to Deep Space Nine. Are you kidding me? Do you realize how many people are in that system at any given time? Outside of a normal event, let alone an event where there's a whole bunch of things spawning. So here's the thing. Internet technology hasn't really changed much, especially with multiplayer, since the days of BattleNet. And way back when, we didn't want anybody with a slow connection coming into our games for multiplayer on StarCraft. Why? Because you're only as fast as your slowest link. This still applies, by the way. Especially in Star Trek. When someone on a really slow connection comes into a system, you have to wait for their stuff to keep checking in. Now, I'm not harping on y'all with slow connections. I understand if you live in the middle of eastern Montana, you gotta have satellite because you don't have another building for 50 miles. I get it. You're a Trekkie, I get it. What you need to do as a player is to work with the system and don't sit there and complain. Vlugta is a really small area and instances the zone number in and of itself is an X size. You can only have a certain number of people. Deep Space Nine has a hell of a lot of people because it's a social zone. And plus there's other things. The wormhole opens up. There's just a whole bunch of stuff happening. Vlugta, beam down, that tiny little room inside the Marauder, that's it. That's all they spawn in. There's like 8, 9 freaking nodes in there. You can literally stand over in a corner and constantly do it because there's people in there and they just sit in there. And you don't have to worry about slow connections, especially from random people, because you only got like 10, 15 people in there at tops, not like the 50 that are on Deep Space Nine or ESD. Another place to go is Starbase 39 Sierra. People don't actually go there. Weirdly, I know, but they don't. The ground, because it's that one map where you have to go around in circles, it's a little awkward. I hear Vulcan's pretty good for Blue Omega, but a good other place to go for Blue Omega is either Wolf 359. You can get a lot of ships in there, but there's not a lot of action happening there. ESD, guess what? You got like all these little NPC ships moving around and you got to have life to the system. Plus people are warping in and warping out, warping in and warping out. Whereas usually in like Wolf 359, nobody's really warping in or out. I mean, not nearly as much as they are in ESD. Plus with Vulcan, you can just kind of go in and kind of nestle yourself somewhere within that orbital station, and you've got like 5 nodes around you at all times. That's a good place to do it if you just want to sit and farm. Again, so that's Vlugta for red, Wolf 359 or Vulcan if you're Federation. I'm not sure about Klingon. Really, I'm not. And then yellow, I usually go to the space for that, Starbase 39. Because you might have to move around a bit, but not because not many people actually go there. So you can kind of go to the little asteroids and there's like one behind them, or you can just sort of sit at the station. But these things aren't that hard to farm. It's just, it's tedious, because welcome to farming. So that's that for this week's news on Star Trek Online. Hope y'all have a great time and you get massive money or lots of upgrades out of this. Remember, don't upgrade till the upgrade weekend. I understand if you make the fragments, each fragment, so taking 3 shards to a fragment, that takes 20 hours. If you maximize that, that's 100 hours. So go ahead and make them now if you plan on upgrading everything. If you plan on selling them, don't change them over to the upgrade tokens. Keep them as fragments, that way you can sell them. Or just keep them as fragments. And then when and that's the stupid thing is like, when an upgrade weekend happens, we don't get notified until sometimes you can see it on the calendar ahead of time, but sometimes they change it at the last minute. I will chat with you guys next week about other stuff. We'll talk about that mission next week. I don't want to take any more time on this vlog. We'll talk about the featured mission. Catch you guys next week. Bye.